Welcome back to Or Something Like That, the podcast where you can talk shit with your besties. We're your besties and your hosts, Sam
and Hollis. Thanks for being here. Now let's start the show. How have you been?
Good. How have you been?
Pretty good.
Yeah. It's been... Hi, Sook.
Hi, Sookie.
Hi, Sookers.
Hey, you have to be a good girl. Hang out by yourself.
Sookie's looking very fluffy.
She's so floofy today. She got a bath on Sunday, and her hair is very long right now, so she's floof city. I got her this bully stick, which is just like a disgusting dried piece of muscle.
From what
really
animal?
Hard.
Do we know?
I don't know. It's probably not great, but I didn't really do a lot of research, except the fact that it did say it's a good toy for Shih Tzus to chew on.
Right.
Shih Tzus,
Shih Tzu.
But it gets gross when she chews on it because, like, the saliva brings it back to, like, muscle state.
Right. Like, rehydrates it.
Yeah, but then it dries up. It's just gross. But she loves it.
Kind of stinks, too.
It smells, yeah. So I don't know if I'll be getting another one. But it does keep her occupied. So.
Yeah. Well, that's half the battle.
Yeah. But...
So I'm kind of like 0 for 2 on the Tooth Fairy.
Oh man, yeah. What happened? You mentioned it a little bit, but
so the first time we did Tooth Fairy, I dropped the tooth down the drain, trying to rinse it off. And I don't even really know why I was trying to rinse it. Like I'm not the person who's going to keep the teeth, but obviously I was going to keep it for the Tooth Fairy experience. So I'm not really sure what my goal was with rinsing it off to begin with, but I dropped it right down the drain. And we were able to navigate that with a note to the Tooth Fairy. Now, of course, my 5-year-old was asking over and, are you sure? Are you sure she's still going to? I'm like, yes, she's still going to come. The first time, I guess the reason why I didn't learn this lesson the first time is because there was no physical tooth.
What?
The first time, because I dropped it down the drain.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so there was
following for a second. I was like, what, you mean you've just mimed the tooth falling down the drain?
It was a silent film. Anyway, so there was no physical tooth that I had to retrieve. So all I had to do was like stick the little coins, I just put them kind of next to her head on the bed. It was pretty simple. So this time, and I don't know what I was thinking. I just, I'm like, just do it like, I feel like this is how I did it when I was a kid. And put the tooth under the pillow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't really think about like the logistics of that.
Exactly. Yeah. We put it in an envelope because I at least did think that through. I was like, I can't just have a tiny ass tooth just like, and loose under the pillow. So put it in an envelope, put it under the pillow. So when I went in, I'm like, okay, I'll just, pull the envelope out. And then I'm like, I'm not even going to try to like put this under the pillow, just set it next to her head like I did last time. Oh no. And of course it's like in this paper envelope. So it's a little like, and I'm trying to pull it out and I'm like pulling it out slowly and she wakes up. I mean, I hit the floor so fast and she like sits up and I'm literally just laying flat next to her bed.
Did she not see you?
No.
Oh man.
And the other thing too is like I turn the hall light on because, I need a little bit of light in the room. The door's open a crack because I opened it, I sidled in there and then I pushed it back close so it was just open a crack, a little beam of light. And so she wakes up, I hit the floor, I'm laying on the floor next to her bed on my back, I can see her. She kind of sits up, she looks at the door and you can tell she's kind of like like the door
like
is
that.
open. She's looking around and then I'm thinking to myself, you idiot, why didn't you just be like, just stay standing and be like, oh, I'm just checking on you. Because I'm like, now if she sees me laying on the floor,
it's gonna be like, what the hell are you doing, Mom?
Exactly. Or it's going to terrify her.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, how am I going to explain my way out of this one? So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm committed now. I have to just lay here until she goes back to sleep. And hope that she doesn't see me. And she didn't. And she laid her head back down. I was like, okay. And it didn't take long. And I could hear her snoring. And I was like, oh, thank God. But then I mean, the way the adrenaline was just coursing through my veins. I mean, there was no way I was going to attempt to pull that envelope out again. Right. I was like not even sure I was going to make it out of the room without her waking up. So I was like, forget it. I set the thing next to her pillow, army crawled out of the room because I'm like,
the best part. Picturing you army crawling.
Oh my gosh.
Silently away.
Oh my gosh. It was like, yeah. So I get out of the room and fine. So the next morning, I'm like, okay, how am I going to explain that the tooth is still there?
Actually, the tooth fairy is trying out this new thing where
she's got enough teeth. She doesn't need any more teeth. Oh man. So anyway, I go in the morning and I have this whole thing planned out of how I'm going to explain it. And the envelope had fallen underneath the bed. So it wasn't
sick.
Yes, it was perfect.
Like the tooth fairy is real.
Yes.
She did come in. She just knocked
it
right
helped me
off.
out. So I was able to snatch that up without her seeing me. So
good night.
It all worked out in the end. But definitely, if you're new at this,
have a backstory.
Get a basket, get a container, and put the tooth in that and put it on the nightstand, put it on the dresser. Don't put it under the pillow. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, that seems, hard.
Yeah.
Seems like a hard thing to pull off. Because I feel like most kids aren't most kids light sleepers?
I mean, not really. They do. I mean, little kids
myth.
do sleep pretty heavily. I mean, for the most part. But when you're right there next to their bed, like pulling something out from under their pillow.
Pulling a crinkling piece of paper.
Yeah. So anyway, nice. we got through it. And now I know I will not be doing that again.
Wouldn't it be funny if the whole time your other kid was just awake in the darkness, just watching you and be like, Mom, you really screwed the pooch on this, Mom.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? And yeah, I've got 2 of them in there. So it's like if one wakes up, there's usually a pretty good chance the other one's going to wake up. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But yeah, it was stressful.
Sounds
I mean,
like it.
I was stressed. I was like awake because I was getting ready to go to bed. And yeah, I was awake for like another hour because I had to just calm
wind
myself
down. Well, that's cool. That's exciting, man. Tooth fairy.
Yeah, I really despise the whole process of the teeth falling out. It really grosses me out. I hate the gap. I hate the way the gums look. Like,
yeah, the gums are gross.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Well, at least you're not one of those.
And this is the front.
Oh.
The front tooth. The big boy. The big daddy.
I can't wait to see her.
Yeah, and the other one is loose. So I'm interested to see if she's going to be missing both of them.
At the same time?
Yeah. And the adult tooth does grow in fairly quickly. Like, you know, when she lost her bottom one, that was the one that went down the drain. And that's mostly grown in now, so.
I mean, did they all fall out? Because I do not remember all of my teeth falling out as a kid.
I think so, yeah.
Huh. I wonder when that happens.
Yeah. I don't remember all my teeth
or
falling out either, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that they do.
Weird.
Yeah.
Kids are weird.
Yeah. And the x-rays look really weird when you can see all the adult teeth above.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You know what's the grossest part is when people like tie it, or like one's hanging on. And they're like the string thing.
Yeah, gross. No. Mm-mm.
And it's like, we don't need to do all that.
No.
Just let it go.
Just, yeah. They're supposed to you're not supposed to like yank them out, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
No, not quite.
Doesn't quite feel right.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's exciting. What's new with me? Update for me. I found a volunteer opportunity.
Oh, great.
I'm actually doing really great this year so far.
Nice.
I just want everyone to know. I found a volunteer opportunity and I finished a fiction book.
Oh, nice.
All within the first month.
Really
of
following
the year.
through.
Yeah.
On your resolutions.
Look at me.
Yeah.
I guess going dry really was the way to go. Because I got
It's
a lot
been
of
nice.
shit done.
Yeah. I feel like we've been very productive.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
So we aren't dry anymore though.
No, but
I conclude our month. But it was great. It was a really great reset. And it was just, I was thinking about it, and it was just a great way to remind me that like mindful drinking and mindful anything really is the way to go.
Yes.
You know,
intentional.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Like I was listening to an interview with Chelsea Handler, and she was talking about her consumption, and the host was a person in recovery. And she was like, yeah, I'm just a mindful drinker. That like I as I got older, I realized like
Right.
I have to sit and ask myself, do I really want to drink? No.
Right.
I don't. And I don't always. And so I don't have to feel like every time I go out that I need to, just like in that, but sometimes I do. And yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's the way to do it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, there's something to be said for, you know, if it is like a situation where you want to, and like, let's say it's, you know, someone's birthday or it's a special occasion and you want to celebrate, you want to have a couple drinks. I think allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to be less productive the next day and just kind of work that into your mindset can help too. Because I think oftentimes we do this thing where we're like, we either say, okay, I really kind of want to drink, but I'm not going to because I have all this stuff that I want to get done the next day. Or we say, okay, I'll have a couple drinks, but I still want to get all the, you know, and then when we inevitably end up not doing that, it's almost like you set yourself up for failure and then you get down on yourself.
Ourselves.
Yeah. And you feel bad about it. And so, yeah, I think there's something to be said for that too. Just kind of giving yourself permission to take it easy the next day, especially if it's something that you're not doing that often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you are reserving it for times when you really want to and you really want to, you know, celebrate this thing, or maybe you're out with a group of people that you like to have a couple cocktails with and it just makes it more fun or whatever. So, yeah, I think I like the idea of really setting intention behind both things.
Yeah.
Sort of the action of doing it and then kind of the aftermath.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I had definitely gotten to a point where I was just like, well, if I go out, I'm going to have a few drinks.
Right.
And that just doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
I can be mindful and think about it and decide beforehand. And yeah, it was just a nice reminder that like, yeah, you can go out and still have a good time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to include that. Or it can, you know?
Right.
So anyways, that's my 2 cents on looking back on that month.
Yeah. It
So.
was a good month.
It was good.
And I haven't had a drink since we had our drinks.
I haven't either.
So
Yeah, we went out at the end.
it was
The month.
It was literally January 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went out. We weren't going to because we had initially said we were going to do 3 months or try it, see how we felt. But we went out and met some friends and then decided went to dinner and decided to have a few drinks. And it was great. And yeah, and I haven't since either.
Yeah.
Haven't felt the need
And
to.
I feel like the thing that we did, which is also just like growth for us, is we came back here to record the podcast and like, you know, do some work, and we didn't
continue to drink.
Yeah. We just had the 2 drinks at dinner and that was it. And so
God, we're so mature.
I mean, we're really, the growth is just off the charts. Speaking of my kids again, which that was not a segue. We weren't speaking of my kids just then, but we were earlier. And I have to tell this story because it's kind of funny. And like, I have to kind of put my 5-year-old on blast a little bit, which is not something I typically do. And I guess this is a good time to say this. I mean, it's probably kind of obvious, I hope, but the privacy of my children and my family is very important to me. I mean, that's why I don't say their names on the podcast, even though most people listening right now know their names. I don't share them on social media. Obviously, being a parent is a big part of my life. So when I talk about things, I try to talk about it from like my perspective as the mom and not so much like their perspective or like their story. In this particular instance, I do have to kind of say it from her perspective or say what she did. But I think it's a funny story, and it kind of just got me thinking about something else too that I want to mention. But, you know, Valentine's Day is approaching, and my 5-year-old was making Valentine's Day cards for her classmates, and she was drawing pictures for all of them on the cards. And she came up to me and said, "Mommy, I drew this one like this because I just don't really love this person that much." And it was
Keeping it real.
It was a bunch of hearts with the circles with like the slash through them. That's like that you see, you know, like the hazard signs where it's like no smoking, no.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was hilarious because I mean, it's just the honesty of a 5-year-old. And it was really hard not to laugh while I'm talking to her about it. And I said, oh, I said, okay. And I said, well, we're not going to give this one to him though, you know? And she was like, well, why not? And I said, well,
I need him to know.
Right. And so I'm like, well, you know, we don't want him to get his feelings hurt, you know? I said, so we'll just make him another one. But then it kind of got me thinking, obviously this is a preschool setting. Like they're too really young for this probably to be a concept now. But it got me thinking because the way I was explaining it to her is I said, well, we just want to make sure we're always being kind and we wouldn't want him to like feel bad at school, you know, because it has lines through it like, oh, you don't love me.
Big X's through the hearts. I don't really like you that much.
Don't like you. Don't get it twisted.
Trevor, I just want to make this very clear. I don't like you. Okay? I like you, but not like that.
Right. But that's kind of what it got me thinking about in this whole sense of like raising girls. And I do at some point feel like it's important for me to explain to her that it's more important for her to have a voice than it is to be nice.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously that's not what's going on here. They're 3, 4, 5 years old, you know. But I do think it can start with an early age of like internalizing that idea of like, oh, I don't want to upset anyone, and like I should make sure, you know,
that's a tough one
I
too.
should be polite and I should be nice because that's what I'm supposed to do. And like, I don't want her to draw back on that memory of like, you know, and again, this wasn't the opportunity probably. And even my husband was like, well, yeah, but you can't, I mean, it's bound, you can't. Like, no, I know.
This isn't the time, I guess, for this lesson specifically. But no, it's true. I mean, I feel like girls internalize that so early.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
That is a tricky one.
Yeah. It got me thinking just about that in general and like, you know, when to start having those conversations. And, you know, it could be a situation where it's like, maybe we just shouldn't be doing Valentines in school. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of I know it's, and this is the thing, like it has that nostalgia, I feel like, for especially like our generation. I mean, that was always like, you know, at least, and I went to parochial school, so maybe it was a little different in public school. I don't know. You can attest to that. But everybody brought Valentines. And everybody just brought one for the whole class. And like back then we did candy and stuff. I mean, you know, you really people don't, or I feel like you can't bring food and stuff into a lot of public schools. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is something I don't know. About.
I know. Well,
it's tough.
Yeah. Because there is like are they friends Valentines or are they more than friends Valentines?
Yeah. Well, and at a certain point and a certain age, I feel like those lines can get blurred, you know, and it's like, so anyway, but.
Yeah. And it is a very like heteronormative like tradition too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's one of those things where it's like, on the surface, it seems so innocent and fun because it is for the most part. But then, if you dissect it too deep, you're like, oh gosh, are we telling girls that they need to like, be nice to boys and you know, send them wrong messaging,
And you know, and that's the thing is like, again, obviously that's not what's going on here, but I would never want her to feel like she had to accept any kind of unwanted attention. Like it's probably never too early for you to tell a man like, I'm not interested.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, put Trevor in his place. Trevor is obviously a chosen name.
No love for Trevor.
For this boy, but no, seriously, do not get it twisted, Trevor.
Right.
Well, yeah, you never know. Maybe she's had a run-in with this kid. Well, and she's being like, listen, I need to make it very clear. I have to give a Valentine to everyone because that's the rule.
Right.
But I don't want him to get any ideas.
That's right. And I did ask her, I'm like, so what is it exactly that you don't like about Trevor? And she's like, well, usually just when we're playing games, he makes rules that I don't like. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, he's annoying. Typical man.
Yeah, typical man. He's annoying.
Running the show.
He's annoying me.
Thinks he knows everything. He's always mansplaining.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, again, not what's going on here, but you do start to think about those things in those situations. Like, you know, was there a better way I could have explained that to her rather than saying, oh, we should just try to be kind and we don't want him to feel bad. And because it is true, they're 4 or 5 years old, but at the same time, I mean, trying to think about your language around things and like,
that's hard.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's very nuanced.
Especially now, because I feel like parents are so, even just one generation ago, parents didn't think about this stuff, I feel like.
Right.
And now we have so much information that it's like, God, everything you say, you must be like, oh, crap.
Oh, yeah.
Can I say that? I can't say that.
Right. Yes.
Is this the thing that's going to mess her up for the rest of her life?
This is a perfect example. So I bought these little like rubber alien toys. And we wrote, "You're out of this world, friend," on the Valentine cards. And then I literally am looking at these alien toys, and they're just your run-of-the-mill, like, green alien with the almond, like, saucer eyes. And I'm like, are these culturally insensitive aliens?
Oh, no.
I'm like, are people...
Are these Asian aliens? Is what people are going to say?
Yeah. I'm like, should I have gotten, like, more diverse aliens? Is this too stereotypical of an alien to give? So that's the point we're at. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's thinking about, is my alien
dicey.
culturally insensitive? Yes.
Yeah.
So
I know everyone's afraid. And I mean, it's a good and a bad thing, because people should be more thoughtful.
Absolutely.
And should be more critical of, their behaviors.
Yes.
But it's that pendulum, I think, where it's like everything swings to the extreme before it comes back into the balanced center position,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's fun.
We're going to continue to do Valentine puns, though, for as long as it's acceptable. So,
I mean, why not?
We'll see what happens. I'll be interested to see what the culture of it is in public school, because this is preschool. It's private, you know. She'll be in kindergarten next year, so it'll be interesting to see if we're doing Valentines in public elementary school. I don't know.
Oh, I bet. I feel like public school is the last place to change. Like culturally. But I loved Valentine's Day in school, because you get to make a little mailbox and put it out at your desk.
That was
it was so fun.
I forgot about the mailboxes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love Valentine's Day in the sense of like, I like my partner to like buy me gifts and stuff, but I love making Valentines.
Oh, yeah.
And sending them to my friends. It's
and
so fun.
Anytime there was an excuse to have a little party at school.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was the best.
Yeah.
And when it was like, there were 2 or 3 volunteer parents that would come. And I mean, when we were in school, it was, no holds barred. I mean, there were cookies, there was juice, there was, all kinds
of candy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're not doing that anymore. I mean, I think there's...
I don't know. I bet.
With allergies, I doubt it.
Oh, well, maybe they're not homemade snacks,
because...
But I bet people are still passing out candy.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know there's a lot of rules around, like, peanut butter and that kind of thing. So I don't know.
School doesn't sound like very much fun.
I mean, I feel for the parents whose kids have allergies.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well, it is true. Everybody has allergies now.
Yeah.
And like that is an actual thing that biologically we have developed over decades. I was just reading an article about this. So they were talking about
just listening to an article about this.
Well, I was listening to a podcast, but I actually read an article. But no, it was about RFK and
I love his philosophy on food.
Yeah, some of it is,
I mean,
I don't know. It's a little dicey to me. Some of it's okay, some of it's a little out there. But it was specifically talking about raw milk.
Yes.
And how raw milk, although many of the things said about it are true in very certain situations, it is very dangerous to drink raw milk.
Yes.
It can kill you.
Yes.
And just convincing people that everyone should drink raw milk is risky.
Yes.
They were talking about that specifically. But part of the research into that article was the fact that our bodies have evolved into a lot of allergies.
Yeah.
And how people on farms, especially in like smaller countries in Europe, that is not a thing.
Yeah. Well, they're also
how farm culture is a lot different, and researchers still don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's common sense as to why. It's because they're not exposed to all kinds of things, and they're eating things in their natural state.
Yeah.
But they can't pinpoint exactly why.
Right.
And how to prevent it.
Yeah.
Interesting. But.
Yeah. I mean, we're allowing like almost 3 or 4 times the amount of like chemical additives to our food than they are in Europe.
Yeah.
Which is just wildly insane to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and our restrictions and legislation are like our guidelines are just like so much looser than theirs.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And like the ones that they do allow in Europe have been heavily researched and tested and are regulated, and ours are not. There's just so many things that we allow simply because we just don't have the data. Right. And so it's like, well, but go ahead. If it's making it cheaper, go ahead, you know?
Yeah, it's the same thing with like sunscreen, makeup.
Everything. It's everything. Yeah. And that feeds into my gripe for later. But yeah, it's insane. Anyway, we got off on a little bit of a tangent there.
Old Tangy.
I have one more update. So I have implemented a Saturday night movie night with my children, and
it's fun.
And I have decided that where I live, I can't really get like takeout food, like delivery or anything. It's just not a thing. And so like I cook 90% of the meals that my family eats. I mean, we maybe get takeout. I have to like drive into town to get it. We do have one pizza place that delivers, but it's not the best. So if I want to get takeout, I have to like drive into town and get it and bring it home. And I guess it's possible one of the third-party delivery services would, but I'm not paying for that. It's insane.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Yeah. So I was trying to think of something that would just make Saturday night like feel a little more like fun and like the weekend. And so I was like, okay, and I don't want to cook dinner. So I've decided Saturday nights we have charcuterie in the living room and we have movie night.
Fun.
Yes. So the first night we watched The Sound of Music.
Oh,
I kind of forgot about the Nazis, but that's okay.
Exciting one.
Yeah, we worked through that.
Were the kids into it?
Yeah, my 5-year-old loved it. And then we watched Mary Poppins. But when we watched Mary Poppins,
was it a double feature?
No,
oh,
this
two,
was
one
no. We had to split The Sound of Music up into 2.5.
I was gonna say that's
because it's a long movie.
Yeah.
But before we landed on Mary Poppins, do you remember this movie, The Chipmunk Adventure?
It's called The Chipmunk
Adventure?
The
Chipmunk Adventure. It's Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Chipettes. And all I can really remember, this is like a core memory for me, this movie, I feel like. But all I can really remember detail-wise is they're smuggling jewels in the dolls, like the merch dolls. Like Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Chipettes are like on tour, and they have these merch dolls that look like them. And the bad guys, and I can't really even remember anything about the villains, are like smuggling diamonds and jewels in the dolls. And I have like vivid memories of them like cutting the doll open, all the jewels spill out. And then they like escape on a hot air balloon at one point. Do you remember this movie?
No, but it sounds really exciting.
Well, anyway, I was like, we're watching Alvin and the Chipmunk, or it's called The Chipmunk Adventure. I was so thrilled. I was like, we're going to watch this movie. It's the best. You cannot find it. It's nowhere. And I was just like, man, what? And so I'm like, okay, who owns it? What's going on here? So I look it up, and it's just like this guy and his wife, I think. And he must be the creator of the Chipmunks. I don't know. And he has like a privately owned production company, and they own all the rights to the movies. And the newer movies are out there. So my guess is there's some reason why they don't want it circulating. There's probably something culturally insensitive, or, I mean, it came out in 1987, so it's like... But I was very disappointed that I won't be seeing The Chipmunk Adventure.
That's a bummer, yeah.
I mean, most of the movies like from our childhood, I feel like you can find, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Oh, man.
I remember.
I watched it a ton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like I remember Alvin and the Chipmunks, but I mostly remember their Christmas song, I guess.
Yeah.
But, damn. Well, that's too bad. Maybe you can find it on eBay or something. Yeah,
I mean, you can find the DVD. I don't have a DVD player, so it's like maybe I'll get a DVD player, and then we can watch The Chipmunk Adventure and
Summer High Tide. Yes.
Which I do still. I have kept the DVD.
I know. It sucks they had to get rid of that one.
I know.
God, it was so funny.
Oh, my gosh. Hilarious.
Anyways.
It's almost 20 years ago at this point.
That's crazy.
2008, I think, is when it came out.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Isn't that weird to think that's been 20 years almost?
Yeah. You know what's also weird?
17 years?
Thinking that this century is a quarter of the way through already.
No.
How wild is that?
I mean, it was literally just Y2K.
Someone said that, and I was like, holy crap. That's wild to think.
Yeah. I mean, we were in our parents' basements worried about Y2K surely just yesterday.
And to think that there's people alive right now, well, quite a few people alive right now who are going to see the turn of the next century. It's also weird to think.
Yeah.
Seems so far away, but it's only,
It's not, because it won't be us.
Yeah. But it'll be people who are alive right now.
Yeah.
Well, should we get into the meat of it?
Yeah. So we had our first psychic reading.
We did. It was interesting. It was over Zoom.
Yes.
Which, that is one thing, looking back, I wish I would have. It was a short meeting, too. It was only a half
30
an hour.
minutes, yeah.
And that time goes fast, especially when you're talking.
It does.
And Homegirl really knew how to keep that.
Oh, yeah. She was like,
going.
whoop, and that's all of our time. Like, I was like, man, yeah.
She's like, this is a business, ladies.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have time to
We don't go
yeah.
1 second over.
No,
Goodbye.
no. But that is, if we had had more time, I would have liked to have
dug in a little
kind
more.
of talked a little bit about her experience, her past, and a little bit of explanation as to how this works via Zoom. Yeah. And how, because I don't know anything really about psychics. I purposely went in as a very blank slate.
Yes.
I didn't want to do a bunch of research and
right.
Try to go in and blow up her spot or anything,
Right.
But I am curious to hear from a psychic their perspective, how do your senses work
and
with someone not in the room?
Right. I mean, and she did explain her process a little bit in terms of, so she said sometimes I'll be looking this way or that way. And, she kind of talked about looking down her future line and then, but yeah, because we talked about this right after and you're like, oh man, I wanted to ask. And it's like, we're not paying to get her background. Yeah. So it would be nice if you could have just a few minutes that you're not taking out of your paid time to be like, when did you first realize you had these abilities? And when did you, start doing this? And how did you get into it? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And,
nice to know.
I know. I just have all these nosy questions that I don't mean to sound like I'm trying to
catch her out or anything.
Yeah. But it's just how do you sense somebody
when they're
not in the room with you? And is that how it works? Is that not how it works? How do these visions or sightings or whatever the vernacular is come to you then?
Right.
But whatever, that's kind of here nor there for the purpose of the meeting. But,
yeah, because we didn't get the answer. We were not able to ask those questions.
But I just want people to know that those are things we thought about.
Yes.
And we're not taking this to be true fact. But.
And I can't wait for you to watch. We did do a little video of our initial thoughts before we met with her, just because we'd never done it before. You're going to laugh, I think, when you watch that, because it's very clear who the bigger skeptic is.
Oh, really?
At one point, you're like,
oh no, I make a face.
It's hilarious, though. I'm like, this is gold. It's so funny, because I'm like, I'm open, and you're like, I'm like, they're not true. It's pretty funny.
I mean, but honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought she was going to be way more woo-woo.
It was not hokey.
It was very normal, which is, and I was glad. She just seemed like a regular lady, and she could tell she was just in a very normal looking, shouldn't have beads hanging on the walls or tapestries or
there was no.
She wasn't Miss Cleo. I think I was imagining a little bit of a Miss Cleo vibe.
Yeah,
which there was none of that, which is cool.
She was very much just a normie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a gift. Gift. Very much a normal lady with a gift.
And I mean, we even said it was very believable. I mean,
yeah. And the longer I thought about it, the more I started to poke holes in because afterwards, I was like, okay, sure. But I think that was also because everything she told us was positive. So I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. Yeah, this is great. She didn't tell me I'm gonna drop dead next week or anything.
Well, no,
I don't anything. I was like, she didn't say anything that I was like, whatever. Because that made me defensive or mad, or that I didn't want to believe.
Well,
and
that's definitely, I'm sure, part of they're not gonna. They want people to keep coming back.
Yeah,
you're not gonna keep coming back if she's telling you.
Yeah, and she was. She's like, I don't work in absolutes,
Yes.
So And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I guess my question is, like, do you believe her? Do you think she is... do you think psychics exist, and do you think she is truly a psychic?
You know, I think it's tough. I do think that people have the ability to be highly intuitive. I don't know necessarily how I feel about the medium stuff. I mean, we didn't do that part of it. That one's a little tougher for me. I think as far as the psychic readings go in terms of the way we did it, where it's like giving you kind of an idea of things to focus on or like what could be coming. I guess for me, what's important isn't so much is it real or is it not real? It's is it helpful?
Yeah.
And I do think that these things can be helpful regardless of how much truth there is to it. I think sometimes if people are struggling or they're in a place where they're looking for answers for something, or even just like where we were just kind of wanted to have fun and like experience it, because I do think whether or not it's real, she had some good advice.
She really did. Yeah, I know, that's the thing.
You
it's
know?
Like she was telling us pretty, innocuous things where it's just like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I mean, therapy can be like that sometimes too, where it's like,
right.
I know the answers. I just need someone to tell it to me.
Yes, exactly.
Or confirm
exactly
that what I'm thinking
is
correct.
Yeah. And, most of the accounts of like people really being like everything my psychic said came true is all like kind of famous people.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I listened to a few podcasts of people who are famous that have psychics, and they have their psychics on and they talk, and they're like literally everything they've said has happened. And I mean, I have seen where they had them on, they said this stuff, and then I've watched some of that stuff happen in their life, and I've been like, interesting.
Right.
But at what point is that person just driving you to manifest those things for yourself?
Exactly. It's more like an advisor than a psychic. And and like, is the psychology that like manifest destiny? That like, I tell you this, and then since I told you it, you're doing it. Yeah, your brain's gonna trick you into going and doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of where I stand on it. Is it real? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would like to think some of it is to a certain point, in the sense, like I said earlier, intuitiveness and just people maybe having access to certain parts of their brain that other people don't. I think that's very possible. But I also think that the psychology of things and like just our brains in general are very powerful, and the power of persuasion is very big. And I mean, I think it's fun. I think don't go into it as a therapy session. Don't go into it relying on it for something. Yeah. But I think it can definitely be helpful if you're looking for some guidance or direction on something. And I thought it was fun. I think it's something I would do again.
Yeah.
I
definitely, when I was thinking about it later, I was like, oh man, I have so many other things I would have asked her about.
What are your holes that you poked? I'm interested.
Well, so I kind of feel like I gave her a little bit too much information about a few things. Like I told her, I'm going through a transitional time, like a serious transitional time, because I was asking her about my love life.
Yes.
I did tell her, like, I'm single. I was just going through a pretty hard transition, but now I'm open. So I feel like one of the holes there was that I led her.
Yes.
So then the advice or the reading that she gave me was kind of like, she could have deduced that from what I said.
Yes.
That was really the main one. And just, that like so much of what she told us wasn't really psychic. It was more like you mentioned, it was more just like advice and kind of not common sense, because it's not like we couldn't come up with it ourselves, but we were asking her very open-ended things. And she was, it's not like we were like, when's the podcast going to get 1 million viewers? Right. It was basically just like, do you have any advice for us? And she did get a little specific.
She got specific. I've got some notes here. Let's see. She did get specific with some date, like time and date.
Because she would see numbers. Mm-hmm. Most of the time when she saw numbers, she connected that to a month.
Yeah.
So like.
Or a year.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So she did say she saw us gathering like a fan base outside of the U.S., which I thought was kind of interesting. Like Japan and Canada, those were her, which I did find interesting because we did have literally like 2 days before that, we had our first listener from Toronto.
Nice. And you never told her about the podcast, right? Yeah.
No. She knew. And that's the thing, too, I want people to know. She knew absolutely nothing about us. She was recommended to me, but she didn't know anything about us. You literally go online. You schedule it online. The only information she had was the name on my credit card. Mm-hmm. That's it. So it's not like she looked us up. You know, I just, and I want to be very clear, even if sure she could have looked up my social media, but she didn't know your name or anything. She had no idea who you were until you were on the call. So I just want to make that clear. It's not like she was going and researching us or anything. She did say, let's see. Oh, something about me finding the right house.
Oh, yeah. That was weird. She's like, well, you're moving next month.
She was like, you're moving in May. She's like, I see a move or something in May. She was like, could be this year, could be next year. And I mean, we are like having to think about possibly renovating or moving because, you know, we're starting to outgrow our house. So that was kind of specific. Let's see, what else? She said something about, do you guys provide some kind of service? And at first we were like, no, that's not really what I mean, other than, just entertainment for, because obviously you guys need to hear how
entertaining the world.
Yes, we're entertaining the world. I said, but we did kind of talk about possibly doing like an advice segment at one point. And she goes, okay, I see that happening 2027.
Oh, did she say 2027?
Yeah.
Well, and that's also telling.
Oh, and she goes, I see a book.
Yes, that's right.
She's like, are you guys writing a book? And we were like, no. And she goes, 15 months, I see a book. And I see shiny pages with pictures, which usually means that it's done through a publisher and not self-published.
Yeah. Which is huge, because I have told you that you need to write a book.
Yes. So. I mean, we've talked about that, like, not related to this. But, so we'll see. I mean, it was interesting. She said you were going to meet somebody in June.
Yeah, so June, it better happen.
Yeah.
And she said it's going to be somebody I'm familiar with.
Yes.
Which was very tantalizing for me.
Yes, and, like, very familiar,
yeah.
she said. But also familiar, but that you've never had romantic
connection before.
Yeah, there's never been romance, but it's somebody that you're familiar with.
He said he's funny.
Oh yes,
and that he's funny.
And
even
I was like,
when we're fighting.
It's got to be true because she loves a clown.
I was like, you could get by with a lot if you're funny.
Yeah,
in my book. Yeah, I know. That was
some real hear me out.
That was very interesting. And that was the thing where I was like, well, yeah, I really want that to be true. So I'm just going to believe this lady.
Right, yeah.
And she did say I was going to marry this person.
She did, yes.
So,
so she did get specific on some things. One thing I did kind of want to be like, I don't really think that's it, when she was talking about, and I think this was a very much like fishing and something that you can probably is just pretty general for most people, like talking about like you needing time to like open up and trust somebody, which could be related to like what you went through.
Yeah.
But it's you're not like a scorned woman.
No. Yeah.
Like from a past relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. But that did kind of hit with me too, because I was like, well, that makes sense. Yeah. But I was like, but
I wasn't quite sure how she would.
Right.
It almost was leaning a little more scorned woman for me.
Yeah.
Like you were struggling to like recover from a past relationship, and I don't really feel like.
No, not necessarily.
And
I feel like that's also a vague enough thing you could say to most women, and they would be like, yeah.
That's what I mean. Know? Yeah, it's definitely a very much like you're going to hit with this probably.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, I do kind of want to like. It would be fun to do it again.
Well, we're
get like an hour and just see like really get deep with her.
Yeah. And we're gonna do another one.
Yeah,
with old Sylvia.
Which I'm very excited for this one because this one is gonna be a little Miss Cleo. I feel like.
Oh, for sure. This is definitely
and that's what I was really anticipating. With the whole psychic.
This one's definitely gonna be all the.
Yeah.
What's the word?
The sign has tarot cards and like a magic ball or whatever on it.
It's out of her house. Oh, the
crystal
like the
ball.
Crystal ball. Yeah. This sign Sylvia's tarot readings. Sylvia's palm readings,
Yeah,
I think is what it says.
Oh, she's a palm reader. That's right.
Yeah, I think that's what the sign says. Sylvia's palm and tarot, maybe.
It's been there forever.
It's been there forever, like at least 20 years.
I know. I've always wanted to go.
I know. It's literally like, I feel like it's like a local staple.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
if you live in Bloomington, you've driven by it and seen it. So yeah, we're gonna hit up old Sylvia and see. Hopefully she's still doing it. Not a lot of information online about old Sylvia.
Yeah, I'm surprised she even should have a website.
Not
obviously.
Really, no. It
Just
was
like
basically just like the
two Google
listings,
reviews, yeah.
2 Google reviews, and really the person was just complaining about feeling like she overcharged them. So
perfect.
Not a lot of information.
I'm really. Oh, you know what I'm imagining it like? Not Miss Cleo, but Whoopi Goldberg from Ghost. Like that scene where she's like running a psychic thing out of her house.
Oh my God, yes.
But then she actually
does
become one.
Oh man, yeah. What a great movie.
So good. She won an Oscar for that.
Did she?
Yeah. Did she? Am I lying?
I don't remember.
I think she did. She was really good at it.
Don't fact check that. Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe. Yeah, I almost forgot that she was like doing that in the beginning of the movie because it's so short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
It was a good time.
It was. I had a good time.
Yeah, it's definitely like
I was a little worried that I was gonna feel weird after. That she was gonna say something. I was gonna be like, I don't like this, but I didn't.
Yeah, and I think that they're not.
Yeah.
They don't want you to,
right?
Because they want you to keep coming back for readings, and they want you to tell your friends and family, like, go, you know. So I think you would be hard pressed to find one where you felt weird afterwards. I just think they're trying to do everything in their power or not power. But in
their mighty powers
to make you feel comfortable and feel like, you know, it's positive.
Right. Well, is that another reason why it's a shtick?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
But let's just play devil's advocate and say it's real. They're going to tell you the bad shit.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to tell you the bad shit for?
Psychic responsibility to like.
Although I will say,
that's what I was afraid she was going to be like. I'm getting strong visions that, you know, something is wrong with you and you're going to die.
No, my God, no. Of course they're not going to do that.
But what if she felt that? Wouldn't she have the responsibility to tell me?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Not unless you asked.
Yeah.
Because I will say, do you
I wonder what the ethics of the psychic
I don't think there are much. Are you familiar with the Hollywood medium? Not Hollywood medium. That's that woman. The young guy. Okay, so I did listen to him on a podcast once. It was very compelling.
Yeah.
It really was. And obviously, like, he's, who knows? But so the kind of readings that he does is people will come to him for medical readings, but that's like, the context going in. So like you that's what you're after when you go into that kind of reading with him. So it's not like, and he has said only a few times has he felt compelled to tell somebody something. And of course, according to him,
it was right every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing that, like, if she had told me something like that, I probably would have been like, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think that that's something that they're doing unless you're seeking.
Yeah, that's really risky.
Yes.
I mean, that's incredibly risky to tell somebody that.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I find it interesting, or just seems strange to me that you would go into this as a business where obviously you want people coming back, you want people booking readings, you want people telling their friends, because you're doing this to make money. Seems strange to me that you would just be like fully fabricating things, like, because obviously if you are, especially some of the things about like, the things that feel the most far-fetched, like, oh, you're gonna meet your husband in June, also seems strange to me that you would just like that's the thing you're going to make
Yeah,
up.
right.
Because then it's like when that doesn't happen, like you ain't going back probably. You're not
Yeah.
telling your friends about it. Yeah. So it just, yeah, it's kind of it's a conundrum a bit.
Yeah.
For me.
And it brings me to this thought that I have often about myself, which is just like I'm open.
Yes.
Which
watch the video. I don't know if you are.
I'm very skeptical. Obviously, I'm mostly a skeptic and cynic. So, like, do I really think psychics can predict the future for everybody? No.
Right.
But also, who am I to say that there is nobody with some sort of psychic abilities? But it also just makes me feel like, yeah, I never have really any conviction about anything. I feel like I'm always just like, yeah, it could be true, it could not be. You know what I mean? Where like so many people are the opposite.
Great podcast host. I have no opinion on anything.
No, but I do, and I feel it makes me feel like super wishy-washy sometimes because I can feel like I see both sides all the time.
Yeah,
and it makes me wonder about myself. Like, do you have an opinion on anything? Do you have conviction about anything besides that, like, murder is bad?
Of course you do.
I know, but I like these are the things that make me like, what do I think though?
Yeah,
I don't know. Who's to say?
I know. Well, but I think that is an opinion. Is saying that. Do I think it's possible? Yes. I mean, that's an opinion, and being able to pick out some of these things that we feel like are happening in these sessions, that's an opinion. The power of persuasion and manifest destiny and all those things. I mean, that's an opinion.
Yeah. I just feel like all my opinions are yes, but, or no, but, which I guess is not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
But
no.
When I talk to people, they're just like, I believe this. My stance is this.
You're very good at riding the fence.
Yeah, I know. No, it makes me feel like, I don't know. I don't know what it makes me feel, but it makes me feel not good about myself sometimes. That I can't just like
don't let
just
it
decide
make you feel
do you believe in psychics or not?
But I think it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it is. It
Absolutely.
is. Yeah.
Because it's like, what does believe in psychics even mean?
And
we touched on that, saying like, it's not, for me, it's not so much believing whether or not they actually have those capabilities, but it's believing in what does it do for somebody?
Right.
How is it serving somebody?
Yeah. Did it bring someone comfort? Did it help them in a time of need?
Yes. Did it create manifestation so that these people went out and did these things for themselves? I mean, yeah, you don't necessarily have to have a black and white stance on whether or not it's real. You know, I mean, it's yeah.
I don't know. Just something I've been thinking a lot about lately. And just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a bad quality.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
See, now you're being my therapist. I just need someone to tell me that it's okay.
And you have plenty of convictions about plenty of things.
I do. I just feel like anytime I do have a conviction, then like a week later, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that was so wrong. I don't even think that way anymore.
I mean, we all do that.
Also a good reason why I should not be a podcast host.
It's a good reason why you should. You can't, I mean, you want to be that way, I think. Like, I mean, I made that joke earlier, but it's, I mean, you don't want to be, you want to, like you said, and you do say this in the video, like, I don't think I necessarily believe it, but I'm always open to being proven wrong. You don't want to be so rigid that you can't be open to other viewpoints and other, and I mean, we've talked about that a lot here, where like, that's how we are. Like, we have conviction in a lot of things and we have opinions about things, but we're open to other people's viewpoints and we're open to being wrong.
Yeah.
And that's an important quality to have.
Yeah, agreed.
So don't beat yourself up about ride that fence, girl.
It's my favorite place to be.
All right, what do we got for grapes and gripes?
I got a couple good grapes this week, actually. My first grape goes out to
multiple grapes.
It's usually multiple grapes.
A whole bunch of grapes.
A whole bundle of grapes.
Or something like that. Isn't that what it's called?
It is, yeah. I was trying to think what's the word for grapes, but it is bunch.
A whole vine.
Bundle of grapes. Basket of grapes. Whole satchel of grapes. Okay, that's enough. My first one goes out to Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show. I do have a strong conviction about this.
There you go.
It was amazing. It was so. He is a true artist.
I did not watch it.
You should watch it.
I know. I need
It's
to
really
watch
cool.
it. I didn't watch the game at all.
Well, first of all, his music is just really great, and I feel like it really shined. Because I feel like a lot of times the Super Bowl shows are so over theatrical
that the music
it's just
gets
like,
lost.
yeah, or it's just like a concert with a bunch of like flames and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is like boring.
Like flying around on the More You Know star. Yeah. Remember when Katy Perry rode the More You Know star?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or like Lady Gaga like jumped over the edge of the stadium one time. It was like, what the hell was that?
Well, didn't she perform last night too?
In New Orleans. It was the Super Bowl was in New Orleans, and she performed on Bourbon Street.
Okay.
At the beginning.
Okay.
It was kind of weird. They had some good. New Orleans performances at the beginning, but a lot of them were weird too.
Yeah.
Like Harry Connick Jr. sang some weird fucking song. I was like, just
old Harry,
sit down. No, but it was great.
Practical Magic.
Yes.
That's literally all I know of Harry Connick Jr. is
Yeah,
that movie.
he was in. No, it wasn't Practical Magic. It was Hope Floats.
Hope Floats.
Yeah,
that's right.
His performance was so great. The stage direction, the art direction was so cool and creative and tasteful, but it was also very layered. There was a bunch of symbolism. I mean, obviously the whole Drake and Kendrick beef was a part of it, which was hilarious and awesome, but there was all kinds of other symbolism. Samuel Jackson played this Uncle Sam character who was like this narrator, almost arguing with him. It had like callbacks to like minstrel characters. It was so cool. There was the stage was set as like a video game controller, because there was like all this messaging about like everything being a game, cheat codes, game over. It was just so cool. The choreography of the dancers was incredible. Serena Williams made a cameo, which was hilarious because Drake and her have beef. I don't know how Drake is even surviving this. This is like the diss of all diss tracks. But it was really fucking cool. And he has officially made flared jeans cool because he wore flared jeans for the entire performance.
Haven't they been cool again for a while?
They've been coming back slightly.
I'll have to see.
But he's really put the nail in that coffin. They are back because he looked cool AF.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an awesome show.
Nice.
And my other grape is another pop culture thing. Lisa Traeger's Netflix comedy special is hilarious.
Okay.
You should watch it because I feel like you'd like her.
I don't know who she is, so I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, she's hilarious. I was hoping she would have a special for a long time. I just found her on the internet, like on Instagram, the clips and stuff. But she's so funny. Yeah. She watches Housewives.
Of course she does.
She's like a real girly.
Girls girl.
Yeah, so
I love a good girls girl comedian.
Yeah, she's hilarious. She has really heavy vocal fry. Like she kind of has an annoying voice, but you like it. Yeah. You know, she's awesome. So everyone should watch that. She's the reason I kept Netflix, because I was like, I gotta hang on.
Hang on for Lisa. Nice. Well, yeah, I'll have to check that out. What's my grape? Oh, my grape's pretty benign compared to that. It's just chips on a sandwich. There's really nothing better.
Oh God, there really isn't.
I mean,
what's your favorite chip to put on a sandwich? Do you have
this
one?
is going to be controversial.
A Lay's, classic Lay's.
Now, classic Lay's is good. My favorite chip to put on a sandwich is a salt and vinegar.
I was just going to say salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar kettle chip.
No, that's good.
Nice and crunchy. Little tang from the vinegar. Just delicious. And you know what? I do not discriminate when it comes to the sandwich. I will put chips on any sandwich. Yeah. Cold sandwich, hot sandwich, hamburger, any sandwich. Any meat between breads is better with a chip on it.
I've never put it on a burger before.
It's delicious.
I have to try that out.
Yeah. It's delicious.
Dang, that makes me really want. You know me. I'm always up for a good sandwich.
Yeah, you're the sandwich girlie.
And yeah, that does sound good.
Yeah, so that's my grape today, is going out to chips on a Sammy.
Chips on a Sammy.
Yeah, and our many, many years spent at the Summer Camp Music Festival.
Eating strictly.
All we would eat for 3 days were turkey and cheese sandwiches with chips on them. Sun chips, because that's what we packed, which is good. Mm-hmm. It's not the elite of the elite on a sandwich, but it's good. And I feel like we'd pack all this other food and we would eat none of it. And the only thing we would eat were the sandwiches.
Yeah, I do recall the last year, though, when we went with our two friends who packed like who cooked
Yes.
and made all kinds of stuff. And by day
yeah.
3, I was like, man, I could really go for some like
Real
actual
food.
real hot food.
I'm pretty sure our one friend didn't he make like caprese salad kebabs?
Skewers, yeah. And he brought steaks and like
Yeah.
all kinds of.
You know who you are. Shout out to you.
You were also smoking chickens in the
90 degree. That was
in the fish lot. Yeah.
Smoking chickens.
Hot food on a hot summer day.
Yeah,
And
90 degrees.
We all clowned on him because it was smoky and it was hot, but by
The way
God,
we were,
when
like,
we got back and we
devoured it.
hot smoked
He was
chicken,
like, "Oh yeah, you guys want to make fun of me?"
it was the best. Yeah,
I mean, he was literally just sweating bullets over this smoker or whatever he was doing it on, and we were like,
that's
"What are you doing?"
his happy place. I
Yeah.
feel like he was so content.
And because this was like August,
Yeah, it was hot as
it
balls.
was hot. Yeah. But we ate every last bit.
Yeah, that chicken really hit.
Yeah, it
late
did.
night.
For show. Got a gripe?
Yeah, my gripe goes out to recipe bloggers. All right, if you write a blog
God. Here we go.
and you have a recipe, I do not need your whole fucking life story
No,
before
I
we
know.
get to the recipe. Can you edit it down, for God's
Just
sake?
jump to recipe.
Or put the recipe at the top. Like, I have to scroll.
You can't click jump to
So-
recipe?
I mean, maybe, but if I'm on my phone and like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, And there's just
No, it's
all kinds-
ridiculous.
It's like, I don't care about your lineage.
And,
Just
like,
give me the recipe and tell me why it's
What
good.
are they gaining from that? That's what I don't understand.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it is a blog, so I get it. Like, that's the whole point, is to like write about it, and they're probably like trying to, spill their heart out in their blog.
guess.
And I don't know. There probably is something about like SEO value. You know, if you search for things, it's more searchable.
Yeah,
if like you've got words
all
and
these,
stuff,
like keywords
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, I suppose.
I'm sure there is a reason.
There's gotta be.
But it's still annoying. That's why it's a great gripe.
Yeah. I always click jump to recipe. Once in like almost everyone I pull up has that option at the top, jump to recipe. But I will say there are times where it doesn't. You click it and it just doesn't do anything, and I'm like, okay, this is intentional. And then I have to scroll. And to be honest, sometimes I get pissed and I'm like, I'm not making it. I go to
Yeah, you move on.
I go to the next one.
Because you know what?
Because you know what?
There's
There's
8 million
17 that came up.
that are exactly
That
they're
are
all
exactly
exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. I never go back to the same one twice. I always just Google what I'm looking for.
Oh.
I don't ever have ones that I'm a patron of, and I go back to this. Are you like, oh, I like this woman's recipe for this? I'll go back
like
to
a
her.
particular person?
Yeah.
One person I have gone back to on several occasions. Well, there's two. One is Ina Garten. I really like a lot of her recipes. Another one that I do like is Pioneer Woman. For certain items, she has a really great drop biscuit recipe that's very unintimidating if you're wanting to make biscuits from scratch. And I have done quite a few Bobby Flay things.
Oh, Bobby Flay.
Yeah.
All right.
He has a great 90-minute pizza dough if you need a
nice.
quick pizza dough. Rises in 90 minutes. It's delicious.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's something I should do, is make pizza at home.
Yeah. We make homemade pizza and like it's just really delicious, and it's just one of those things where delivery pizza is good, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's gotten outrageous.
It's gotten outrageous. And like I said, where I live, it's like I have to go into town and pick it up anyway. So there were times when I was buying frozen, which honestly has gotten expensive too, but it's almost like I just can't get past all the stuff that's in it.
Oh, frozen pizza?
Oh my God.
Oh,
like the
yeah.
preservatives and all the
Yeah, it's
things.
bad.
And I will say making pizza from home is a little labor intensive. But one thing I have found that really helps is that 90-minute pizza dough recipe. You can freeze it. And then I make my sauce ahead of time. I also try to prepare, like if I have to chop anything for toppings, I try to do that ahead of time, like the day before. And then that makes it really pretty easy.
Simple.
Like when it comes down to all I have to do is assemble it,
yeah.
essentially.
That's kind of like half the fun, though. It's like, we're making pizza pies. Hey, let's put all our different stuff on it.
If my kids
No?
were older, yes.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
my
yeah.
5-year-old really likes to help when we make pizza from home. And it's like I'm also trying to like that dinner time frame is like the witching hour. There's so much going on. So
Yeah.
if you have small children, I recommend doing things ahead of time. But that kind of leads me into my gripe, because talking about the frozen pizza, I'm just like really tired of label fatigue. I have label fatigue.
What do you mean?
Constantly reading the labels for everything and being like, what's in this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very intentional about what I put into my body and what I put onto my body and the things I bring into my home, because I feel like we are just the toxins. I just can't. I feel like with all the plastic and the chemicals, it's insane.
Yeah.
And so I try to be really intentional about that, and it gets really wearisome reading every label and then being like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. And a lot of times if I don't know what this is, I just like go to the next thing. But then sometimes it's like, well, they all have this thing. So then what is this thing? So then I go and I research this thing and I look up this thing. And it's like, it gets to a point where it's like, I have to live my life, you know? And so there are certain areas where I have let it go. But there are certain areas that I won't, that I just can't. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
So
There's too many things. And wouldn't it be nice if we just lived in a world where
Europe? Yes,
yeah.
it would.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to wrap this up.
I think that's our episode, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.